So we need to find the sine of negative 15 degrees. This is a half angle. So we're looking for what angle is, when we take half of it, you get 15, negative 15. That answer is negative 30. So our angle that we're going to use, that we know, is negative 30. Because then when we take half of that angle, we get the angle in here. So we're going to rewrite sine of negative 15 as the sine of negative 30 over 2. And I'm going to write that in terms of radians. Okay, now we're going to put it into the formula. Let's do that floor function out as a side note somewhere over here. So if you take the floor of negative 112, you get negative 1. Why is that? Well, remember, here's 0, here's negative 1. Right here is where negative 112 falls, and it's got to round left back to the nearest integer. So we're going to raise this guy to the negative 1. This is going to be 1 minus the square root of 3. Oops, we've got to put a negative in there. So this is going to turn this guy to be positive. So it's going to be, nope, I'm sorry, it's still going to be negative. So it's square root of 3 over 2, just like that. Because the cosine at negative pi over 6 is still a positive value because you're dealing with something in quadrant 4. So this right here, okay, I'll do that again as a side note. Negative 1 to the negative 1 is equal to 1 over negative 1 to the 1, which is equal to 1 over negative 1, which is equal to negative 1. This is going to be 2 minus the square root of 3 over 2 divided by 2. And then this guy is going to be 2 minus the square root of 3 over 4. Which means that this guy, I'll probably write it like this, it's going to be 2 minus the square root of 3 all over 2, like that. So let's check, see what the answer is here. So this would be the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 divided by 2. And we have a negative out front. I should have wrote that when we came through. So this negative was still here, was still here. So this guy will be negative. Okay. Now, if we take the sine at that angle, so remember our initial angle was negative 15 degrees, so let me go into degrees, and I'll get the same answer. So this down here, that is your exact value of the sine at negative 15 degrees. So we're doing these problems to find an exact value. So if on the test you just give me the decimal version of it, you don't go through any of this, it'll be no points, because the idea of this section is for you to go through and use these formulas.